welcome to From Shambles to Shambhala. It seems like a long time since we have been involved in doing the shambles, and we've got a lot to report to this time. I'm going to reflect back first of all on our wonderful trip to London recently, the end of the last week of November, where we went to the retreat with Richard Rudd, and it took place in the Friends House, which is the Quaker House in downtown London on Euston Road. And absolutely amazingly, Oracle Girl, who we also follow, had done her retreat just 3 weeks earlier in the same space. It's a beautiful pyramidal structure, and as soon as we walked in we could feel Oracle Girl's energy of the calm, centered, purified space that she'd created there. It was just wonderful. Richard had pieced together a lot of different aspects of the gene keys from different courses that he has taught, but the most important piece in the whole puzzle was the recognition from Richard that the very first ecstatic experience he had back in 1996, when he became connected to the all that is, was actually a preemptive awareness of what was going to happen for all of us beginning now. And so the talk that he gave was called The Dawn of the Future Human. And he's talking about the fact that we are going through this incredible transformation, this metamorphosis, and bringing more of our higher self into form so that we can connect energetically to this higher frequency. And interestingly, right now we are in the ring of light, which always comes through at this time of year as we move into the darkness of winter in the Northern Hemisphere, where we start with the 5th gene key, then the 26th and the 11th. And it's all about shining our own inner light out into the world. It's remembering, as we're surrounded by the darkness, that we have this inner light shining. There were a couple of magical moments in that retreat, one of which was Robert Grant, who was there as a guest of Richard, and he had this download connecting to Elijah and Ezekiel in the Old Testament and the chariot of fire, and he actually called it the New Jerusalem, which was really interesting for us because the other reason that we were there was to celebrate William Blake, the ancient mystic, not ancient, but 1700s to 1800s mystic poet and visionary in England. And Zia will be following up in this shambles later with some of her experiences. But basically, she has been hearing the songs of Blake's poems. And the vision that she had was for us to be on Primrose Hill, which was one of his portal gateways to spirit, on his birthday, November the 28th, which was the same week as Richard's retreat, to sing in the New Jerusalem, which Blake also talked about. And people have been asking us, why would we be celebrating Blake right now? And the reason is that this is his Pluto return. This is Blake, the prophet, not unlike Richard being the prophecy of the 55th gene key in the age of Aquarius. Blake was warning us back then about the mechanization of life, of humanity. And in his song, or poem that became a song, Jerusalem, he talks about, and did those feet in ancient times walk upon England's mountains green? And he was talking about the journey that Jesus came onto England with Joseph of Arimathea to found the first church in Glastonbury. What most people don't know is that he also came to London, the site of old St. Pancras Church, which he called the New Jerusalem. So part of our journey was to go to these Blake sites where he had these portal connections to the beyond. He had this clear, direct connection to source, and Primrose Hill was one of those key source places, and you'll see some images from Zia later on that. But the other reason we connected with Blake was because he had this portal gateway connection to the beyond. And so we were reconnecting energetically to those sites in London to connect to that. And Zia's vision was to sing one of the poems at dawn on Blake's birthday, November 28th, on Primrose Hill, which we did, or she did. And what happened afterwards was phenomenal. She had discovered that there was a portal gateway that wasn't just a portal spot. It was actually a line, a north-south ley line that ran between Primrose Hill and St. Marylebone Church. And when the sun came up, it came up strangely in the south. And so after the moment of the sunrise, on this beautiful, crisp morning, with a frost on the ground and the mist above it and the sun rising through the mist, we chose to walk that line, and it goes straight down the centre of Regent's Park. And as we walked into the sun remained directly ahead of us the whole way. We felt as if we were walking into the heaven worlds, where these beautiful beams of light were coming through the trees from the sun in all sorts of different colours and these beautiful waves of light. And then at the bottom end of the park, there's this huge open field. And again, there was this frost and this mist. And it really felt as if we were walking into the Elysian fields, the fields of heaven, and eventually reaching to St. Marylebone Church. It just felt as if we were being given this gift of what this new earth is going to be like, and it's going to be wonderful. So it was a wonderful experience for us, just for those few days in London, and recognizing the very powerful ley lines and vortexes that exist there that are to be reactivated now. Now, another part of the journey was we had the opportunity to go to Avery for the day, and that gave us the opportunity to anchor the energies from London into the stone circles of Avery. And as we arrived, we were informed from some local people that in the top of Silbury Hill, which is part of the Avery complex, in the top inner aspects of Silbury Hill, that a dragon's egg had been cracked open. Now, symbolically, what that represents is the awakening of the ley line currents. The dragons are the dragon energies. So the dragon egg cracking open means that there is a spiritual awakening taking place. And because we knew that right first thing in the morning, we were able to actually include that connection, that conscious awareness in the work that we did on that day. So it just all seemed to be synchronistically lined up for us in a beautiful dance, a week of connection to spirit. So now we move on into December, and we're filming this on December the 8th, which is when the 26th gene key begins its annual illumination. And this is the gene key of the trickster. This is the trickster energy. Now you see me, now you don't. And it will be prominent for the next 5 days or so. And so it's really important now for us to really recognize this opportunity that we have to be the trickster, to dance in and out of spirit and into the world. And it's got this beautiful energy about it, so long as it's always in the interests of the common good. The shadow is pride, so we don't want to get locked up in that. And then immediately following the 26th, we have the 11th gene key. And the 11th gene key is the G of the romance. It's the fairy story. It's to do with the light. It's a very thin veil between us and the light. And that leads us into December the 15th, which is the full moon, with the sun in the 11 and the moon in the 12. And these are a tricky pair of gene keys, because in Richard's book, he talks about your ego only wants you to see and hear what it wants you to see and hear. So this is really important for us to get underneath that and see the truth of who we are in real, deep and profound honesty and integrity. On the 12th, we have the 12-12, which is another portal gateway opening, which leads into the winter solstice on the 21-12. So again, see this period of time moving between the 12-12 and the 21-12 as a wonderful opportunity to connect deeply to spirit. And as I'm saying this, the sun is getting brighter, shining down upon us, just to let us know that this is really, really important. And if you do have any sunny days between now and the winter solstice, really do tune in and connect with Mother Earth and with Father Sky. So then we move into the winter solstice, and I really do want to emphasize the importance of this event this year. And we're referring now to Rory Duff, who is a wonderful genius dowser in the world, and he has dowsed the ley lines and vortexes across the planet for many years, and he has come to the conclusion that the ley lines and vortexes come into a perfect rhythmic resonance on the solstices and equinoxes. But in recent years, the frequency of that ley line vortex vibration has increased, and the length of time that it exists has existed for a much longer time. So on the winter solstice this year, Rory Duff's calculations suggest that from now on, the ley lines and vortexes are going to resonate in harmonic frequency right from the winter solstice through to the spring equinox. And then from the spring equinox, they'll resonate together through to the summer solstice, into the fall equinox, into the next winter solstice. In other words, this harmony time means that the ley lines and vortexes are going to be in resonant frequency all the time. Mother Earth is taking over. And so there won't be any concern for us with the shadow side of existence, because it's going to just dismantle and dissolve away as we move more and more into the light. So as we are in the ring of light through this time, really, really important to connect deeply with that. And so I really hope you'll find the opportunity to go out into nature on either the 21st or 22nd of December. We'll be doing our node point connection on the 22nd to really make that connection deep down into Mother Earth and work closely with her. Then the month ends up on December the 30th with the next new moon. And we then have this great opportunity to set a clear intention for our desires to come in the new year. And our beliefs are that the most important time early next year is going to be the week of January the 22nd to the 30th, when the Sun will move into the 41st gene key and Pluto will move into the 41st gene key as well during the course of that week. So we'll be clearing out of the 60th gene key of limitation, moving into the city of justice, where Mother Earth herself will start putting on her light body, her Earth ship Merkaba, and we can go along with her and do the same. So the more closely we are aligned with her, the better. So I really hope you have a happy holiday season, and I think we can look forward to a much more pleasurable year in 2025 compared with the intensity of this year, 2024. So our very, very many blessings to you and your loved ones.
Hi everyone, it's Zia here, and it's been a while since I've been on camera, and it's so good to be back. I hope you've had a wonderful 2024. Sophie's here too, just so you know. She could fly in at any moment. So this year I was really inspired to return to some songs that I was working with back in 2008. I used to sing and play guitar back in the day, and back in 2008 I just put the music away for what I thought was just going to be a little while, and all these years later, and then this year it was just like, you know what, it's really time for me to bring these songs out and record them and just get them out there. And so once I made that decision, everything happened really fast. I found a wonderful producer, young producer, who was just in Victoria for a couple of weeks, and the funding came through so I could pay her, and we chose a weekend, the weekend of the lunar eclipse in March, for our creative portal. And we had 3 days that we spent in a little tiny house in Fairfield here in Victoria, and just recorded these songs and had a wonderful, magical time. And then the songs are still in post-production. The editing and mixing and mastering process takes a lot longer than you would ever realize. And so while all that's been happening, I decided to go back to some other songs that I'd been working on many, many years before even that, back when I was at university and I was studying English literature, and we were doing the romantic poets. And of course, the romantic poets, they often start out with the poetry of William Blake. And William Blake was a poet, printer, and, as people have only very recently realized, he was also a musician. And of course, back when I was studying this, nobody knew that. And every time I opened this book, Songs of Innocence and Experience, which Sophie wants to eat it, I just want to say, see, she's already chewed that up. She wants to shred it and turn it into a nest. And so I'm hiding it from her. Songs of Innocence and Experience. They're called songs, right? And but they were being taught to my class as poems, and as they were traditionally taught as poems. And every time I opened the book and started reading them, I would start hearing the melody that would go with the song. And it started with the tiger, and I just heard this really clear Celtic melody coming through when I would read the tiger. And then I went to the fly, and again I was getting this melody. Went to my professor one day and I said, you know, these songs of innocence and experience by Blake, you know, they're really songs. And he said, no, they're not. And after that, I just kind of kept it to myself. And now, of course, we have Google. We have a lot more connection with information. This is actually a thing with William Blake, and he has inspired so many artists, musicians, poets, filmmakers. So William Blake seems to appear to people as a muse, and he certainly has shown up as that for me this year. What happens is when I read the poems, and when I read them and really stick to the meter and rhythm of each poem, after a while, the melody starts coming through, and it comes through the rhythm. And then I start to hear myself singing the poem to that rhythm and meter in a very particular melody. And at first, I would hear beautiful music and a beautiful voice, my voice, in my head. But when I would try to sing it out loud, it wouldn't match at all. It sounded pretty awful, actually. So it's taken me a while to match my outside with my inside, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm getting there. However, I have been able to receive and transmit the melody for each and every one of the songs of innocence and experience now. One came right after the other. It all happened really fast. There are 19 songs of innocence, and there are 27 songs of experience. So 46 altogether, which is really interesting because if you actually look up William Blake's gene keys, his profile, at the very center of his profile, his SQ is the 46th gene key, which is the city of ecstasy. These songs are absolutely ecstatic for me. I wouldn't have known that just by reading them as poems. It's actually when they're sung, there is a multi-dimensionality that opens up when that frequency of sound and tone comes through. It took the longest time for me to sing some of these songs without bursting into tears or laughter in the middle of them, because they take me right to that edge between joy and sorrow, and that's what ecstasy to me is. It's just that razor's edge between. We often talk about the shadow, the gift in the city, and the gene keys, and for me, the songs of innocence are the gift. The songs of experience are the shadow, and there's a little bit of innocence and experience, and there's a little bit of experience and innocence. They blend at certain points. And when I sing them, they take me to that in-between space between the two. And then all of a sudden, it's like almost like a Vesica Pisces, that inner sanctum of the city opens up, and magic happens. So back in July, when the songs were still coming through, I had just finished the introduction to Songs of Experience, and it's often called Hear the Voice of the Bard, because that's the opening line. It opened up the world for me in a way, because I realized that it was an invocation and a greeting to the dawn of the new world, the dawn of the new earth. And I went down to the water that day, close to where I live, and I sang the song to the water, and I cried. It was just so powerful and so magical. And I just had this realization that I needed to be on Primrose Hill in London this year on November the 28th to sing that song, because it felt like that was the date of this sunrise for this new earth. November 28th is William Blake's birthday, and Primrose Hill was a very sacred landscape for him. So I had this realization to be on Primrose Hill for November 28th of this year, singing that song. And I went home that day and I went to check my email, and there was a message from the Genekeys, an invitation to attend the Dawn of the New Human retreat in London on the 23rd and 24th of November. And I'm like, whoa. And then I get a message from Peter, again, forwarding this Genekeys message to me with these dates and this opportunity. And he said, are you tempted? And I wrote back to him and I said, well, you won't believe what just happened. I think we actually need to go. And again, one thing just led to another, incredible synchronicities. And we ended up in London for that week. It was an absolutely magical time. It was full on. We did a lot. The retreat with Richard was amazing. For me, the biggest highlight was, again, making sound in this incredible space, which is a pyramid structure at friend's house, and it was so powerful, these ohms that we were doing. It just felt like these incredible ripples of pure love were just going out into London and beyond. And then we found ourselves on Primrose Hill on November 28th, just before dawn. And I'm so excited because I was able to film some of it. I was able to take pictures. I was able to sing Blake's song to the sunrise. And it was London, right? You don't know if you're going to get a sunrise. It's often quite rainy and misty, and it just felt like pure grace was happening that day. Primrose Hill is a very busy place, even at dawn, and it was very busy that morning, but we were still able to really ground into the sacredness of it. I was able to film the singing of the song. It can be a little bit distracting, but it's really real. There's people walking around, there's people talking, but you really get a sense of what it was like there that morning. And after the sunrise, we walked the ley line Peter talked about just earlier, and down to through Regent's Park, and then to St. Marylebone Church. It just felt like we were walking in to the new earth, to the new Eden, to the new Jerusalem, whatever you want to call it. I'm really excited to share this slideshow with you. And I sing the song. I sing the introduction to Songs of Experience, Hear the Voice of the Bard. And I also share The Lamb, which is Blake's one of Blake's songs from Songs of Innocence. And for me, out of all the songs, it really is one of the most ecstatic of all. And it's pure devotion. It's about I and thou. I, and the I in this song is the child speaking to the lamb. It's beautiful. The innocence of this child speaking to the innocence of this lamb. And just saying, you know, if we could all honor the innocence within us and within each other, what a world we would have. Anyway, I don't want to overthink it. I just want to offer it up to you, this sacred offering, and I hope you enjoy. I put my heart and soul into this, and I'm sorry it's taken a little bit longer than usual to get this out to you, but it's our special holiday, sacred holiday, holy day greeting to you, and I really hope you enjoy. Wishing you a beautiful, magical holiday season and a wonderful, wonderful 2025. I look forward to seeing you next year. And so much love to you from both Sophie and I.
哇，起得好快啊！
Hear the voice of the bard, who present, past, and future sees, whose ears have heard the holy word that walked among the ancient trees, calling the lapsed soul, and weeping in the evening dew that might control the starry pole, and fallen light renew. O earth, return, arise from out the dewy grass. Night is worn, and the morn rises from the slumberous mass. Turn away no more. Why wilt thou turn away? The starry floor, the watery shore, is given thee till the break of day. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, soft as clothing woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He became a little child. I a child and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, soft as clothing woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He became a little child, a child